Welcome to Dance with Disease. My name is Ren. In 2016, my index finger started wiggling, which is great if you're training a dog, but I don't have a canine companion. And then the word Parkinsons came into my life. I knew from the beginning that this was not the downward spiral of doom as guaranteed by the brochures, but a kick in the ass to look at my life and change. This podcast is dedicated to sharing my magical journey of healing through trying every alternative therapy imaginable. Thanks for joining me. Let's dance.
Good morning, friends. How are you? How was your sleep? How's the weather there? I'm not normally one to get too worried about inclement weather, i.e. rain. The rain is now, I'm kind of tired of it. I guess because I have things to do now. It must be it. Because, in the past, when I was purple pirating and less busy than I am now, I didn't have to go out in it unless I wanted to, so I wasn't, I don't know, I'm like, tired of the weather. Maybe you're watching from California, somewhere that gets no rain. I'd ship some down to you, but shipping commodities like this is incredibly environmentally destructive, despite what Bill Maher thinks. It's stupid. A pipeline for rain is dumb. A pipeline for water is a dumb thing to do. Man, this 5 a.m., it's 5 a.m. on June 5th. I woke up at 4. Tried to tell myself it was 2 and look at my watch. Tried to get back to sleep, and I was like, maybe I'm just supposed to get before. It certainly is peaceful at this time of the day. There's a lot less traffic. A lot less rumbling around by my wife. Yeah. It's interesting it's an interesting life. I keep dreaming I'm in the Olympics or some sort of Olympic event, and it's not an event. Like in this case, it was paddling last night, and paddling is not my go-to athletic endeavor, but I don't feel, I don't feel like I'm going to win, but I feel like I'm going to finish. I feel like I'm out of my element, but I don't feel like I'm going to fail, which is how I'm feeling right now in terms of this process. I feel pretty confident. I feel like I could be more patient with myself. The ups and downs of the coming off and on the drugs, being high and then coming off the high. That's taxing. Oh God! But I am grateful those times that the drugs are working and I'm high because it changes the experience when I can just relax and engage with people and not fight for words and get really anxious and all these ridiculous things. So a couple times in the last couple of days, a couple of men have commented on my physical prowess, my present physical prowess. And it's like, wow. The ego is intact because I just kind of perk up a little bit. Wow, people see me as athletic. I guess I am in comparison to other 51-year-olds. But no, I don't have the capacity I used to for sure. but it's more importantly, it's just interesting how the ego is still sort of looking for affirmation of my physical prowess. Oh, Miss Sophia, my bike. Awesome. So yesterday I'm helping some computer clients. And getting home, it was raining. So I just put her into high gear and ripped along at 32 kilometers an hour. Getting through the rain, like, oh, it's so nice. My nervous system gets a little jacked up, but what can you do? I'd rather get a little jacked up and have to calm down a little bit than get wet, or get wetter than necessary. Yeah. The wet. Too much to talk about. I'm gonna get to work. My intention is to focus on this presentation and relax, or this therapeutic session and relax. The mind, I feel like a broken record. And because I say broken record to the people that are watching, because most of us would remember what a broken record is like. Aren't too many millennials watching this. It's not that millennial friendly. Because when you're young, you don't, at least I didn't, consider having an enormous challenge like this. Like it would be for me to join the Olympics right now, a huge challenge. I used to admire the Olympics and desire to compete at that level. I don't anymore. It's such a corporate gong show now that I see it for what it is. Looking for inspirational things to say. All the self-doubt comes in. Man, I like getting up early. I wouldn't consider it possible. We used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning when I fished. And 4 o'clock in the morning on a fish boat sucks. Having to get up with all the smell and the swell and ugh. Getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning when you're on land. Good times. Nice and quiet. Yeah, getting up. It's interesting, my mother, who lives upstairs, has a friend acquaintance that used to live in the neighborhood, and this young woman she's a single mom as well. She's lost custody of her kid because she's suffering with drug addiction. She came over like a week ago and she was struggling. Oh man, she was in rough shape. And I had a hard time with her before because I just had this sense that she was unstable. And I've got to be protective of my own energy at this point because it's, I'm vulnerable to other people's dysfunction, so it sets me off. But I've grown. My strength has grown because she was off. She was having such a hard time. My heart opened to her. I was like, you can do this. This is difficult, but it's going to take time. And she came over yesterday, and I was like, wow, you're much better step by step. And in telling her that, I'm telling myself that. And that's the point of this, is that when I'm in contact with another person I went to high school with who's dealing with these symptoms as well, and to be able to have the opportunity to share what I've learned from this experience, because it's so fucking doom and gloom, and the doom and gloom around this experience is just so counterproductive. And it might be well-intentioned, but it certainly is ignorant. Give all your power away. You've got no choice. You've got no hope. Fuck you. People make it through really hard things all the time. Just because you can't reproduce it with a lab coat and a Bunsen burner in a lab doesn't mean it's not possible. The human being's experience is not relegated only to the laboratory, because you can't replicate a human life. There's so many variables to begin with, and to say that you can create that you can do a one-size-fits-all remedy or therapy for the wide variety of human experience is ignorant. It's so ridiculous. And people, and unfortunately, our culture in Canada wants to give away all our power and create create all this dependence on the system. But doctors are people too. They have their own complex lives and ego-driven, ego influences, and they're another person that studied a bunch of stuff that, studied a bunch of things and memorized a bunch of ideas that were not their own, not based on their own experience. They're just following a textbook, and that has its place, but we have to take responsibility for ourselves. And I personally feel so much more empowered and happier in my life when I feel like I have some sort of influence on the outcomes of my life. And there's a whole God perspective in there too that can't be denied, that there's a plan. And brother, I'm down with the plan. I'm certainly game to do life differently, but at the same time, I also need to acknowledge that I'm just so much more functional when I'm doing stuff like this. This seems very passive to me, but it's also very difficult because my mind wanders, and to acknowledge that, to be okay with the mind wandering and just bringing it back. The meditative process has been so good in terms of getting perspective on life. Like I'm here now in this moment, talking to whoever's on the other end of this transmission, and it's okay. This is doing what it's doing. It'll do what it's doing until it's done doing what it's doing. I'm seeing greater moments of calm. I'm seeing improvement in my mobility. But the patience is good. May I have a day of patience. If that's what you require as well, may you have patience as well. Leave me a comment. Tell me what sort of ramblings you like to hear. I would love to ramble for your benefit.
Thank you for listening to the Dance with Disease podcast. My name is Ren. It's been a pleasure to have you here today. For more podcasts and the films, Dance with Disease, log on to YouTube, Ren the Artist. See you next time.